What's up? What's up? What's up, y'all? It is another opportunity for everyone to be great together. I am Joey Womack, founder, CEO of Goody Nation, and you all are in for an absolute treat today. It's another Momentum Friday where we're going to talk about sales. And so we have a few special guests today in order to talk to you about messaging that converts for sales, right? And so I'm not going to steal too much of their thunder. Just know that we got Seth Banks, the B2B sales coach in residence here at Goody Nation, and we got Jasmine Shells, the Grow with Google coach for the Midwest. They're going to talk to you about sales, and Seth's going to talk to you around strategy and tactics, and then Jasmine's going to go into how to actually make some of this stuff happen using some of Google's really cool AI tools. So, without further ado, let's hop into it. Let's go to Jasmine for your intro, and then Seth, you can do yours. And I'm going to hop off screen, y'all. Oh, you're on mute.
Gotta love that. Thank you. Thank you, Joey. I'm Jasmine. I'm based in Chicago. I'm the Grow with Google coach for the Midwest. And really, my love for entrepreneurship started over a decade ago. So I've built companies. The last company I built, I scaled that to 20 employees. It was a B2B SaaS company that we sold into HR departments and corporations, helping them to manage their internal events and trainings for their employees through our software. And then we report back the ROI for that. So great run, raised $6 million for it. Salesforce gave us some money. Google gave us some money. So that was a really, really great opportunity. And then I learned about the power of AI. Really, I went to a Gemini API Sprint camp, and I literally built the same app that was my company in a matter of an afternoon. And I said, whoa, like this can open up so many doors. So I'm really excited to chat more about AI with you all today and to share how you can use a prompt playbook to help you with your sales process. I'll kick it to you, Seth.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jasmine, and hello, everyone in the Midwest or wherever you're tuning in from. I serve as the managing director of TrueSeed, and today we are going to be focused on how to create sales messaging that converts into customers. Okay. A little bit of background of myself, right? I actually am from the Midwest. I'm from Columbus, Ohio. So a lot of love for the Midwest. My entire experience has been in B2B sales. So for the last 10 years, I've served as a sales development representative, climbing the ladder of just grinding and figuring out messaging and how do you actually generate opportunities. That's a skill set, right? Like that's a skill set that you have to get great at if you're thinking about owning a business and thinking about how to scale, how to get customers. Once you get really good at that skill set and you can generate enough opportunities, especially in B2B sales, specifically tech, you'll get promoted to an account executive where deals now come to you and you're in charge of closing those deals. So from that experience, working for a few unicorns down in Atlanta, Georgia, I was focused on SMB, then mid-market, and then enterprise. And of course, those deal cycles tend to become more challenging the longer that those deal cycles are. And so when you're dealing with mid-market and enterprise sales, you might have 6-month sales cycles. You might have 12-month plus sales cycles. And there's a lot that you actually learn. The cool thing about this is that all those startups were actually early stage, high growth. So high growth meaning maybe you went from 5 million to 25 million within 1 year. Well, how does that all apply today, right? So fast forward to today, outside of being an account executive that eventually left because he wanted to learn how to serve more founders in a sales director role, over the last 5 years, I've been focused on serving founders and bringing that education from that tier of business down to the folks who are in the nitty gritty, right? SMB owners, skill converters, folks who are thinking about entrepreneurship, tech founders. So if you're any archetype of entrepreneur, this session is going to be amazing for you, because at the end of the day, everything comes down to the foundation of your sales playbook. And so today we're going to be focusing on the messaging of the sales playbook. Now, we've worked with tons of founders over the last 5 years. I also work with Goody Nation. And here I'm teaming up with Jasmine to give you all a session directly correlated to how to grow your business. But what I do want to share with you is that there are tons of frameworks. There are a lot of tactical pieces that you can put together. And today it's going to serve as that, right? We're going to actually give you something to walk away with. So let's talk about what you're going to learn. But first, let's tackle why messaging usually breaks down. Okay. And again, this applies to any type of SMB owner. If you're an entrepreneur, you're going to fall into this bucket at some point in time. So it's really good to understand what to look out for. Okay. So first off, marketing usually guess what converts. And so when we say marketing guess what sells, what we're really saying is marketing guess what converts, right? Website copy, all your templates, all your ads, they might come from some AI tool that you're using, and that's completely okay, right? And this is your assumption of what you may believe might attract your customers, okay? But usually those are assumptions. That isn't real data. So if it doesn't come from the customer's actual words, then that's a problem area that you want to focus on, right? 2, a lot of times revenue will plateau. And so if you're an SMB owner where maybe you have scaled to a certain amount of revenue and then you're not seeing a jump in sales, usually it's because your language, your conversion, there's a lot of things that could be going wrong. But in terms of messaging, what got you here might not get you to the next goal. All right. And so if you start to spend more investment on ads, right, with the same messaging that you use to get you to the plateau, basically that money is not going to give you a good return on investment, right? So we want to be aware of our messaging when we decide to spend more on marketing, all right? Third, converting language never reaches the website. Well, what do I mean by that? What I mean is that there's a feedback loop, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But when you are selling and you are gathering the understanding of why your customers are purchasing from you, that's the language that should be forward-facing. Okay. And your website should be your first salesperson. So you want to use the language of your customers back at them so that they resonate as your ideal customer profile, i.e. your ICP. And that helps move them further in the sales process to conversion. Okay. Last is nothing is documented. Okay. And I can tell you, after analyzing over 1,000 startups and even small business owners who may not be tech based, right? There is nothing documented, which means that every single time that we start and need to create material, we're starting from zero. And that is a very time-consuming, wasteful approach to growing and understanding what is working and what's not. And so you don't have a North Star if nothing is documented, right? We want to iterate as we go on. We want to get better as we go on. We want to improve and understand, hey, what did we try? Why didn't that work? Now we're moving towards this. Where do we apply that? How did that perform? It performed great. So we need to use that in these channels as well, right? So you need a documented playbook, and your messaging is going to help you do that. But first, you got to figure out who your ICP is, okay? So let me say this. Your best messaging is already in your sales conversations. You pretty much have everything that you need. You don't need to figure out how to make something sound cool or how to make it sound sexy. It's already there, okay? Use what you have. Because when those customers tell you why they're using your service or why they chose you, that's exactly what you want to, again, position back, okay? I'm going to say this. Sales drives messaging, not marketing. Think of sales as your engine to your Ferrari. Think of marketing as the body, right? The build of the vehicle, right? So one is attracting, and then the other makes the actual body go. Drive, right? So you want to use the messaging from sales, right? What you're hearing in those conversations to then attract more potential clients. All right. But just use it from what's already working. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Second, you want to document the experience. And what do I mean by that? This is the feedback loop that I'm talking about. So where were your customers before they met you? During their time with you, what is their experience? And then what was their experience afterwards? right? That is the language that you can use for conversion, all right? Like, how do they feel? What changed during the time that they were working with you? What's different now, right? That's your before, during, after. That's your case study. And there's going to be so much gold within those sessions or stages, excuse me, okay? Third, AI fills the gap, okay? So the sales expert that you don't have, think about AI as your sales director, right? A lot of companies usually don't have enough revenue to bring in someone for a six-figure salary in the early stages. That's exactly why AI is perfect to help you with sales enablement, okay? And so if you don't have that budget to bring someone in who can do this work for you, we're here to actually give you the tools and the practical steps in which you can take what a sales director would give you and apply it today walking out of here, all right? So your best messaging is already in your sales conversations. Let's talk about what you're going to walk away with today, all right? Well, one, you're going to walk away with a very clear description of who buys from you, who pays on time, and who's going to refer you to other people. If anything, use this session as an audit just to see if your language lines up with some of the best practices of how to get closest to the language that's going to convert, okay? And if you don't already have this language, perfectly fine. We're going to start fresh, and you're going to have the best first step instead of starting somewhere where you might be losing some potential opportunities, okay? The second is you're going to walk away with the top 3 problems and the pain that your customer wakes up with and that they're worried about, and why they're going to pay you to fix the problem, whatever that problem is, okay? Third, I want you to walk away with an improved value proposition, okay? Your core message, which is just going to be a one-liner that speaks their language, who you are, who you help, what problem are you solving, and then what is the outcome, all right? So that's what you're going to walk away with today. Now, there's a 4-step framework. If you know anything about me here at TrueSeed, I love frameworks. Everything can come down to a framework of where do we start and how do we get there? So there's 4 top questions, okay? And think about each one of these questions that will have a drill down. I like to think of sales and messaging in the form of an onion, right? There's always layers. You can always peel back, and you want to try to peel back as much as you can, all right? So the outside of this onion is really, who is your best customer, right? Because it's not everyone, all right? If we're trying to sell to everybody, we're not selling to anyone. So we need to figure out who is our best customer, okay? What problems do they actually have? Which means what is broken, right? What is our analysis of their current state before they get to us? And how do we get better at articulating that we know their world, right? Because psychology tells us the better that we articulate their current state, the more that they tend to trust whoever is articulating that to them, right? The third is, how do you solve it better? All right. If I'm talking to you as your sales director, which is what I love to do, I want to know, how do we solve this problem better than anyone else? And then the 4th layer here of the onion is, how do you turn that into language that's going to sell, right? What's the formula that we can use every single time that we have a new product, we have a new service line? If we start a new idea, we should have a formula that helps us get our core message, i.e. that value proposition. All right. So let's drill down into each one of these questions. All right. The first, remember, is who is your best customer? So you want to think about the folks who pay on time, right? You want to think about the folks who are going to refer you to more business and that are easiest to work with. That's how you know who your best customer is. Now, here are some questions that can also help you identify that a little bit more clearly. Question 1 is, what type of customers give you the least headaches? All right. So think about the jobs that went really smooth, really easily, the folks that you love to get on the phone with, not the folks that when, they email you or they hit your chat, you're like, oh my gosh, they're reaching out again. Like, what do they need? Right. A lot of us may have service-based businesses. And so our relationship with our customers is very evident. We know who we like. We know who may be a little bit of a headache. Okay. So we want to think about the customer that we love working with. We exceed, we excel. There isn't much that this customer complains about because we're hitting every single checkbox for them. All right. Second is, what do your best customers have in common? So this is a great question because they might be in the same industry. They might be the same size of of customer, by employees, right? So these are your infographics that you're pulling out. Do they stay in the same neighborhood, region, right? Maybe your best customers are in the South. Maybe your best customers are on the West Coast for whatever reason, right? This is really good to understand because it helps determine how we execute our go-to-market strategy to find our best customers, okay? And what is the most common issue, pain, problem that they all came to you with, right? What's that through line? What's that common pattern that you find? The thing that you keep hearing over and over again, we're going to use that to turn it into messaging that's going to attract more customers. All right. Last is who repeats or who refers customers to you the most. I think that's really key. All right. You want to know, hey, why are you sending me more business? What did we do so well that made you want to go talk to other people about what it is that we do? All right. Now, that's how you figure out who your best customer is. You're going to leave with a prompt playbook that's also going to have these questions, right? If you need that, we're going to attach it at the end of this session in the chat. You can access it. That's going to have these questions here for you, okay? But I want you to write down the answers. Maybe as you're going through this, you might have some that you just need to drop down. Go ahead and do that, all right? The second question here, right? What problems do they actually have? So this is the pain that they have today. What I want you to ask is what's broken right now today. Be very curious. The most successful people in sales, the most successful entrepreneurs, one of their behavior traits is that they're insanely curious, right? They don't assume anything. So every single time you have a new conversation, I want you to act as if you don't know anything, right? And maybe you're asking them what that problem is, describe it. How did you get there? What have you tried to solve? What have you tried to use in order to solve this problem before you came to us, right? How important is it for you to solve this, right? Name it in their words. What's chaotic? Why is it such a headache for them? Okay. Second, what are they most worried about? Let's get that language. Is it cost? Is it time? Is it quality, right? Which is the loudest for them? That's going to be so important because you want to sell the problem you solve, not the features that you offer. You want to sell the problem that you solve, not the features that you offer. Okay. So you might have a great service that has the best experts in the space that's been doing whatever it is that you do for 15 years. That's great. That is expertise that everyone wants to feel comfortable with. But at the end of the day, what pain are you relieving? And you want to get into those emotions. Okay. Last, what happens if they don't fix it? All right. So what is the downstream cost? Your biggest competitor usually isn't another business. It's the status quo. What do I mean by that? Usually it's doing nothing, right? You'll find in most deal cycles for deals that do not close, a lot of buyers are first-time buyers, right? Now you might be in a space where that's not the case, but folks usually will just go back to whatever is normal or what feels most comfortable for them. So you want to get ahead of the curve, knowing that that is a possibility, that is who you're competing with, which is doing nothing. And then let's name that and let's make it real for them so that they know, hey, I don't want to keep living in this state. I want to get to the outcome of this, right? I want to get this fixed and I want to trust you to help me fix that. Great. Now, how do you solve it better? This is where you can start getting into what makes you different from everyone else. Okay. This is where you can separate yourself. Now, I want to make sure that you all understand that everyone is going to claim that they have the best quality. Everyone is going to claim that they have the best service, right? So you need proof and you need specifics, right? Is it speed? Is it experience? Is there a money back guarantee? Is there a certain team that you have that specialize in this one area, right? Are you local to the problem? Okay. Pick 2 to 3 of these that you think are the top, right? That makes you all stand out, and let's run with that. Okay. Second is, why should they trust you? You want to get really good at naming that reason, and you want to start articulating that in your conversations. Is it how many years you have in the business? Are there certifications that you have that make you stand out? Are there notable clients, logos that you can use? Even if you don't have clients, right? You can still be credible before you have clients, right? I want to have you leave with confidence. If you are just starting off in your business and maybe you don't have a lot of clients, it's okay, right? A lot of founders and entrepreneurs ask me, hey, Seth, well, we feel like we have to oversell ourselves because we don't have any clients in the space. That's okay. It's your dedication to the problem. It's your dedication to the problem that makes you credible, right? The fact that you're not going to stop until you help them reach that ideal place, right? It's you being empathetic, understanding what they want, what they need, and then you dedicating yourself to solving that for them. That's where your credibility starts, okay? Last, what do past customers say about you? So this is where we can bring that language in from reviews. I would highly recommend that every single time you come across a potential customer, prospect, someone who was very close to signing, maybe they didn't sign, doesn't matter what part of the sales process they engage you, always have a feedback loop, right? You should always be thinking, how can we get better in our sales process? This is where the speed to revenue happens. So let's figure out all of the bottlenecks. And then when we have great experiences, let's not lose that opportunity to then take that language and then use it for more business, okay? So real reviews, real names, right? Be specific with outcomes, which is why I said before, during, and after. That allows for you to get specific with outcomes, right? And then again, start naming what changed for them. Now, you're going to turn this language into a formula. So each one of those questions that we just drilled down into, that's going to give you so much to work with in terms of you boiling down, right? And so in sales and language, right? Let me step out a little bit. Let's go bird's eye view, and then we'll get micro, okay? Macro to micro. You need to start with a lot of information in order to really boil down into the sauce, the meat, right? The gold, right? Let's get to the core of that onion, right? And the formula for the core, when we talk about messaging, when we take the psychographics and the infographics that we just created, is you identifying yourself as the best solution for your ideal customer profile, okay? That ICP, right, should raise their hand when you articulate this value proposition. What do I mean by that? When you say, I help who this person is solve this problem so that they can achieve this outcome, your ICP should say, oh, wow, that's me. Oh, you're exactly who I need to talk to, right? And if they're not saying that, then that means that your messaging is not resonating. And this should feel so comfortable. Like this, whenever someone asks you what you do, this is how you should articulate what you do, right? This is how you generate leads. You can throw this should be on your website, in your header, on your hero section, right? The first thing they see should be this core message. When you're meeting people at conferences, at events, anywhere where you're person to person, this is what you should be leading with, right? Not a whole bunch of everything you got going on and what you guys are working on and this is the core message, okay? All right, on your one pagers, anywhere, on your ads, this is what you're leading with, right? We help these folks solve this problem so they can achieve this outcome, right? You want to think benefits, okay? Benefits, not features, all right? And that prompt playbook that we're going to give you is going to help you come up with a few different ways that you can articulate this, and then you're going to feel what feels the strongest, all right? So what you want to stay away from are, again, features, right? Stay away from, for example, here on the screen, we have 24/7 monitoring. Let's say you have a security business, right? You want to stay away from 24/7 monitoring. A benefit is you sleep better at night, right? That's great marketing, okay? Now, the 24/7 monitoring helps you sleep better at night. So whatever feature that you're leading with, think about the outcome and what is actually being achieved by us giving them this feature. Okay. Buyers buy the benefit, not the feature. Buyers buy the benefit, not the feature. Okay. Last but not least, to get this formula, right, massage to the best version, you're going to have multiple versions. So just be okay with the fact that messaging is iterative, which means it keeps getting better over time, right? You want to use your customers' words, not jargon. A lot of times as the skill folks, as the entrepreneurs, okay, we try to be fancy in our approach to how we think we need to come off in order to get business. You will find that the best folks, entrepreneurs, best folks who sell are the ones that keep it really simple, right? Very relational, right? 7th grade reading level or below. That is proven by data to increase revenue, is when you operate at a 7th grade reading level or lower. So do not use industry jargon. Some of you all in specific industries may need to get very niche, and your ICP might understand that. But at the end of the day, you still need to have the benefits, the pain, the emotions, right? That still needs to be there, okay? And so if your customer doesn't say something that you're putting in there, don't use it. That's a good way to know whether or not you're using jargon or not. What are your customers saying? Not what you want to say. Okay. Talk like they talk. All right. So this is turning that all the information that you're going to use from the last 3 slides, you're going to use that to get the formula. Okay. Now there's an AI toolkit, this prompt book that I'm talking to you about, right? I want you to access this so that when Jasmine comes back on, right? Let's bring her back up. She is going to help you get to the best place for your messaging. All right. The prompt playbook is just a starting point where you're going to take the information that we just had from the last 3 slides and give you access to that. You're going to answer those questions, and then you're going to plug that into the prompt playbook. And then you're going to start that journey for your sales director to get the work for you. Okay. And so Jasmine is going to walk through some ways that you can actually use AI in order to continue to get there, because prompting is so interesting when it comes to sales, right? I would say, first of all, it's very easy to tell when you're using AI for messaging. It's very easy, especially in sales, right? So you want to stand out. That's why we're giving you this prompt book. Secondly, you got to cut through the noise. And so this is the way to cut through the noise, because now more entrepreneurs than ever are able to get their messaging out there. And so folks are being just flooded with sales, marketing, right? And you how do you stand out is the question. How do you stand out? So we're going to use AI, but we're going to teach you how to use it right. Jasmine, any thoughts or comments on what we just went through?
Yes, I have a quick fun story. So,
okay.
Startup founder life, everything you said resonated so much because I had to do sales. So I'll never forget when we first launched the company, we applied for this accelerator program in this challenge at University of Chicago called the New Venture Challenge. So over 93 companies applied, and essentially at the end, only 10 companies get to pitch. So we applied. We got in, we were ecstatic. So we're doing our one-on-one coaching with the different professors and mentors. And we're like, well, what about our application? What made you accept us? Like, what got us into this challenge? And they go, we had absolutely no idea what you did. You used so much jargon to describe the business, but you made money, but you had revenue. So we were like, you have to be doing something right.
Something's
so they said, we're going to let y'all into this program, and we're going to work with you on your messaging, because we know if you can get revenue with your current messaging, we can get you more once we help you refine it. So I really love what you said about the 7th grade messaging. That's key.
Yeah, that's insane. I'm always shocked at how folks get revenue with just things I don't understand, right? Like if as a sales director, right, I can understand. I've looked at a lot of businesses. I pride myself in being smart, right? But if you can't tell me what you do in a few sentences, that means that your customers probably feel the same way. Confused.
Exactly. Because what we created was an internal events platform. But, before we were using, we come from consulting backgrounds, so we use a lot of jargon. We will help optimize the relationships within your organization to drive efficiency and productivity and retention. What? So what does that
mean? What does that really mean?
What does it do?
Right.
You manage my events or not?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
So 7th grade language is the best. So now I'm super excited to, walk through prompts and ways that you can leverage as a person who's driving sales in your org, messaging, understanding your ideal customer, and also how to iterate on your messaging and making sure that it's coming from what your customers are telling you. So there's so many gems when you are having your customer calls, your discovery calls, and what they're sharing with you. If you could leverage that, that's a gold mine. So I'm excited just to dive deeper into what we'll be using today is both Gemini and Notebook LM to show you how you can do this for your organization. So we'll hop on into it.
Love it.
All right. So the first thing that we really want to understand when it comes to this AI prompt playbook, I think there's kind of 4 big things. One is just what is your ideal customer type? I think a lot of people want to sell to everyone and they think that all revenue is good revenue. It's not. I know for us, when we first were selling our product, we were like, okay, should we sell to corporations or should we sell to accelerators or should we sell to universities? They all have events. But the thing was, who has the greatest pain point and the greatest budget and is the easiest to work with? And after we tested in those markets, we found that it was corporations. So you have to really think about how you identify your best customer type. So I'm going to show you how you do that with AI. The second thing in the prompt playbook that we really want to talk about is uncovering your customer pain points and their buying triggers. So I think something that you said that was really key was, how are you not selling features, but you're selling, hey, like this is the thing that we can actually solve for you. How are you solving my problem? A lot of times when I was a baby salesperson, I'm like, well, we have this integration, we do this and we do this and we do this, versus we save you time and money and this is how, right? So there's a really big difference between positioning as a feature set versus someone who actually is going to be walking alongside the customer to solve their problem. Third thing we'll show in the AI prompt playbook, it's just how you pull different trust proof points for the company, right? So how are you going to really demonstrate to a potential customer that they can trust you? What are your receipts? What are the things that you can rely on that demonstrate this in an easy way? And last but not least, we're going to generate some messaging that we can test on what's actually going to move the needle for someone to take you from a company that they may be considering to no, they're speaking my exact language. So the company that we're going to be using for this specific example is a roofing company. Since I'm based in Chicago, I'm calling our company. This will be our company, Seth. Okay.
Okay.
We're going to call it Windy City Roofing. How was that? Is that all right?
That's perfect.
Okay, good. I thought it was clever. All right. I thought
it is. It is.
And I want to show how you can really take AI, take your customer conversations and turn that into messaging in minutes instead of hours. So we'll go into Gemini first. And the thing we first want to do is to identify your best customer type. So I do have a prompt that we're going to use this. I'm going to copy and paste it, and then we're going to go through it, and then we're going to see the results that we get from that prompt. Okay. So this is the prompt. What we're doing is, like I said, Windy City Roofing is our business. We're giving Gemini, which is, Google's best AI assistant, right? It has a lot of research-based methods. It's really great for that. We're letting it know, hey, we're based in the suburbs. So we're being very specific in where we're based because we want it to be very specific and giving us back our ideal customer type, right? And where they're going to be based. We let them know, hey, we've been in business for about 5 years and how much money we're currently making. And then we're going to describe our best customers, right? We're going to let it know this is what makes a great customer. And we're also going to let it know what makes a not so great customer. And then last but not least, we're going to say, hey, based on this, what is my specific ICP, right? Give me the demographic and the psychographic details. Be specific and don't be generic. So let's see what it's going to give us so that we can actually use this in our marketing, all right? So we're going to submit that and see what it gives us back.
Love it.
And this is always really nice because it'll tell you exactly what it's doing as it's prompting and it's thinking through it. And one thing that we talk about a lot when it comes to prompting is the more context you give it, the better responses you get. So always try to be as specific as you can. As you see, we didn't just say, we're in Chicago. We said we're in the suburbs and these are the specific suburbs we're in.
Right.
Right. So we go into it and it says that this is who our primary ICP is. It's someone who is starved for time, okay? They have a busy life. They give us this age demographic. They're typically people who are married with dual income households. And you see how it specifically breaks down each of these categories.
Mm-hmm.
And what's their buying trigger? Reactive events only. So they're not proactively going out there, right? It's when something happens to them. So when you think about your messaging and your marketing, instead of having like this proactive, hey, come check out your home once a year, right? It's like, oh no, this thing has happened. We can solve this for you and we can do it for you ASAP. So really think about how you're going to leverage who your core ICP is for this. What I also like is they give you your what we call the anti-ICP. So this is the people you do not want to work with, okay?
Your red flags.
Your red flags. Like in dating, you have red flags. We also have red flags in sales, okay?
Yes, we do.
Similar concept. All right, swipe left. So with this, we have the hobbyist haggler. This sounds like people who are going to nickel and dime you, and not only are they going to nickel and dime you, they're going to ask you for the most stuff. So it's like, hey, yeah, I want that for $2, and I want you to give me like the maximum product possible, please and thank you. So really, really watch out for this. And it tells you, hey, these are people who are often single income, retired, or DIY enthusiasts with excess free time. So avoid them. And what I love is how it then tells you how you take what your ICP is and your anti-ICP is, and it breaks it down into how you actually use this in your marketing. So it specifically tells you how you do this for lead gen, right? What you should actually be referencing. So don't say generic things like, I need a roof. It says market to these 3 trigger events because they're reactive, right? So one being weather. I actually, what's funny, speaking of this, I got a email. In Chicago, we just had some recent storms not too long ago. We've been having tons of storms in the city. And Allstate sent me an email and it was like, hey, do the storms got you down? We're here to help. And I thought that was so interesting that they sent me this email. And I was like, wow, right? So that's understanding the trigger of a homeowner who's busy, who may not want to have to seek out options, who doesn't understand their insurance, but, oh, my insurance can help me with this. So it's a beautiful example of targeting.
Love it.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I really love to go through these things. And also another thing that you can do, which is really great about Gemini, is if you want to continue the conversation, it actually starts to give you suggestions on things that you should do next steps. So it's like, hey, you're trying to create this content, this messaging, and for your ICP or, to avoid your anti-ICP, maybe we could create a lead qualification script for you, or maybe we can create a partnership pitch or even a post-storm strategy. So these are really cool things that you see that you can get in Gemini.
Right. Seth, this is your AI sales director.
Yeah.
Yep. Because this is what your sales director should be doing. Key should. Keyword there. Should. Right. Exactly. A lot of these, I would say, a lot of the information that you're getting here, I tend to encourage founders, entrepreneurs to keep asking questions, right? Try to ask as many questions as possible. And what I mean by that is, just for the example, for the anti-ICP, right? You had the do-it-yourself enthusiast. One thing that I thought was interesting, thinking about how you're selling, is how would you figure that out? How would you figure out who that person is? And so maybe you want to come up with some qualifying questions that can help you discover that, right? As an example, right?
I love that. And that would be a great follow-up prompt, to ask in Gemini. Like, what are some qualifying, right, questions to identify my ICP or my anti-ICP? We'll put them both in there. Boom. And this is what's nice, is you can iterate on this. You can, practice with it. Also, I leverage it a lot. I'll use Gemini Live, which you can use on mobile app. But you can literally have a conversation with Gemini back and forth as if you're talking to a customer, and it'll act as that person for you, which is really,
Love
really
it.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So, it gives us some questions just so I know how to best help. What exactly prompted you to reach out to us today? So they're trying to figure out the trick.
Gold.
Right? That's a good one.
Gold. Yep.
I like this one. When you're hiring a contractor for a major project, aside from a fair price, what's the most important thing to you? So what would you rate these? Do you think Gemini did an okay job?
Chef's kiss.
Chef's kiss.
I couldn't have come up with a better question.
Absolutely. So this is what I love about this. So yeah, this is part one of what we wanted to cover today in our prompt playbook. So now we're actually going to move over to Notebook LM, or now called Gemini Notebook. So if you all
Okay.
did not know, Notebook LM has had an upgrade, a new name, and it's called Gemini Notebook. Gemini Notebook is amazing because the big difference between Gemini Notebook and what you would experience with Gemini is Gemini Notebook leverages your sources. So whereas Gemini is going out into the internet, into the world and pulling information, Gemini just cares about Gemini Notebook just cares about the information that you give it. So these are all of our notebooks that we have. You can have as many notebooks as you want to, and these notebooks can be based on your customer. They can be based on your business. You could really organize them however you see fit. But like I said, we're doing the Windy City Roofing example, so I want to show you what this looks like for Windy City Roofing. So first, I'll give you a lay of the land of just how Gemini Notebook works, and then we'll go into some prompts that you can use, because the next prompt that we're really going to be looking into is how we could uncover pain points and buying triggers for our ICP. Okay. So going into Gemini Notebook, on the left side, this is what we call our sources panel. So on the sources panel, this is where you're going to upload sources that are key to your customer, to your business. So what we have for Windy City Roofing, I uploaded a Google Doc that just was giving an overview of Windy City Roofing, who we are, how long we've been in business, who our team is, right? So this is just really helping Gemini Notebook to understand who we are as a company. The second thing is around our customer discovery call notes. So I love this because you can take all the notes that you have, maybe from your AI, if you use an AI meeting note taker, and you could just dump those into here. Hey, these are all the notes from my customers that I need you to be aware of as I'm trying to understand their pain points. So we have several, I think maybe 6 or so different discovery call notes in this doc. Last but not least, for sources, we have our post-job customer survey responses. So we also want to understand, what are our competitive win themes? What are the things that are standing out about us that are really going to help set us apart from our customer or our competitors? Or what are the things that are actually going to be a detraction from us winning that deal? So you can add several sources. You can upload files. It's multimodal. So you can also do video. You could do audio. You can connect it to your Google Drive, which is really exciting. So anything that you put in your Google Drive, you could just plop right into here. And last but not least, you can also copy and paste text.
Wow.
Nice, right?
Really cool.
So the second part of this is what we call the chat. So this is very similar to what you experience in Gemini, where you go prompting, okay? But the thing is, when you're prompting, is going to be referencing your sources here. So everything that you're going to be asking in the chat is going to be going based off of what you've already uploaded into your notebook. Last but not least, my favorite part, which is the most exciting, people love, is what we call Studio. So Studio, what's really nice about it is you could generate all different types of decks, podcasts, video overviews, mind maps, flashcards, reports, quizzes, etc., off of your sources. So if you wanted to create some sort of podcast, maybe for a new hire, your new sales director, who you wanted to get like a quick overview of how sales was working on at your organization, or what you're getting through your customer discovery calls, you can easily get that in the podcast, or even an overview of what the company is. You can also generate a quick slide deck, which is awesome. So instead of you having to build one out, let's say you're on the rush and you're trying to pitch this customer, it can create a slide deck for you in a matter of minutes, and then you could just edit that and tweak it for your customer as you see fit. So that's the overview of the Gemini Notebook and the different 3 panels and how they work together.
Wow.
It's pretty cool, right?
Really robust.
Okay.
Really
so a lot
robust.
of people use this for preparing for sales calls, which I think makes so much sense why.
Yeah, and this is great because, like you said, for collateral purposes, if we're focused on getting that right messaging coming here, if you need a deck, like you said, that's perfect. It's going to pull from all of the information from the calls that you've recorded, right, from the customer feedback, right? It's probably going to give you a better head start and give you a better output than you spending your own time trying to create that from scratch with whatever is left on your brain after being an entrepreneur all day, right?
Exactly. Totally agree. And what I like about being able to now uncover pain points and buying triggers, so we're going to put a prompt where we're going to ask within Notebook, Gemini Notebook, it's so new, I'm still getting used to it, to summarize the top 3 pain points from the customer discovery notes and cross-reference those with our competitive win themes. What I think is so important about this is I remember in sales, you have different customers who ask for different things. Okay. One may reference it in one way, one may reference it in another. But what's really nice is when you could bring together all of your customer discovery call notes, all of your competitive win themes, it could really aggregate all that and get common things that you should be focusing on that could resonate with all your core ICP that you're going after.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see what the top 3 pain points, shall we? So for Windy City Roofing, our ICP, it's number 1, fear of being scammed or overcharged. That's real. I think that's a really big one. Homeowners do have a lot of anxiety. As a homeowner myself, who will have to get her roof done probably in the next 2 to 3 years, it's a big one for us. It's a really big one. The second thing is confusion and stress regarding insurance claims. Like I just said, that messaging where I got reached out to specifically about this from my insurance agent. Smart. People don't know. So it's like, how do you help navigate them through a challenging process and make it seem very simple for them? So I like that that's something that we also could think about. And lastly is project management and communication. It's very hard to manage contractors, right? Definitely for a larger project. So how can we as Windy City Roofing leverage these pain points and cross-reference them with those competitive win themes to have an edge in the sale? So this is something that's very powerful about being able to reference our own sources and data to get messaging that we can target our ICP with.
Yep, 1000%. That's the pain, right? Those are the pains. How we solve it is the outcome once we come in. So for that last one, the burden of project management and poor communication, you would then say, all right, so how do you feel when you're not burdened? Yeah. How do you feel when you now have clarity in your communication? That's the language that you would be using. So this is perfect because sometimes this can give you a better understanding of your ICP than you might have. So wonderful.
And I know, when I started my company back in 2018, this was before everyone was using AI for everything. And it was hard to try to find the themes. Like we had a lot of Google Sheets and a lot of analysis, and we were really trying to distill, okay, are they saying the same things? Yes or no? And we had notes here and notes there and everywhere. Yes. Some people took hand notes. Some people used a note taker. We had it all.
Chaotic.
Use video, right? So for the fact that you can take video, your sloppy notes in your notes app, or you can even use your note taker stuff and throw it all in here, it makes the world of a difference. And you could share a notebook with your team members. So you and your other sales leaders can use the same notebook and all put your notes in and then be able to leverage this information.
Yes, if you have new hires that are coming in to help you sell, you can create onboarding documents of this messaging that will decrease the time of them ramping.
Yeah.
They can step in and duplicate what you are already great at immediately.
Right. Think about how long it takes to ramp a new salesperson. It takes some time. So this definitely does cut that.
6 months on average. 6 months.
Is this pre-AI or post-AI?
That's great. I mean, honestly, I think AI has made it more confusing for folks to onboard.
What?
It's so much going on because you don't have a single source of truth. So AI is telling you something different from what your CEO is telling you, right? And so how do you know what's actually real? Building a sales playbook is so beneficial for so many reasons, but now that you can use AI with the generation of a sales playbook to have a single source of truth, your North Star, it should be, to your point, decreasing the time to ramp, right?
Yes.
If you use it like this, it should decrease, right?
And that's the thing about Gemini Notebook. It is your single source of truth, and it only leverages your sources. So that helps a ton. So it's really good.
Love it.
And then I think another thing we have to think about a lot in sales is, Windy City Roofing, we have lots of competitors. So how are we actually going to figure out what are our trust proof points? What makes us different? And we can literally leverage Notebook LM for that as well. So based on the company and team sources, what makes us different from other roofing companies, right? It's really And then we're going to say, rank them by how much they matter to a homeowner who is nervous about getting scammed. So we're going to leverage this number one pain point, right? And we're going to see how we're different and how we can pull that pain point together to have a really good, compelling reason why they should choose Windy City Roofing over another roofing company. Okay. And then it tells you, it's like, all right, sales leader, you should really focus on your reputation and your local accountability. So for a homeowner fearing a disappearing contractor, you have this 4.9 star average rating. You're licensed and insured. You have a great local track record, right? And you even give long-term protection and warranty. So these are the things where if you're trying to pick up quickly as a salesperson or know what you should focus on for that sales call, depending on their top pain points, you could just come in here, ask Notebook LM, and it can distill that information for you very quickly. Okay.
Great.
And last but not least, I want us to talk about messaging, okay? Because I think that's also a big one. I know we've been kind of testing different things as we go, but that's the last big prompt that I want to really focus on is how we can generate messaging, different variations of that to test, okay? So we have one more prompt, and then I have a few goodies to walk through with you all, as we always like to give things away through Goody Nation, through Google. So that's to come after this. But the big thing that we want to understand is kind of building on the other prompts, right? And understanding our core customer and what matters to them. It's like using our ideal ICP, the top 3 pain points, and our proof points above and what makes us different. Write 5 value proposition variations using this formula. I help who solve what problem so that they can accomplish X, right? And we also give it some rules. It's very important to give AI rules because if you don't give it constraints, then it's just think about what it thinks is best based on all the data it has. But you know what you need the most for your company. So it's like the biggest thing that you said earlier, Seth. It's like speaking benefits, not features. How do we make sure that we are focusing on the things that people really care about, et cetera? So no jargon, keep each one to a single sentence. Maybe I should also say to 7th grade level, but hopefully a single sentence is not too complex. We'll see. So here they go. All right. I help busy Chicago homeowners solve the fear of being taken advantage of by a contractor who might disappear halfway through providing, this one might be a little jargony. A little long, like a A+ BBB rated service. I don't know about this one. That might Let's try another one. Okay. I help established suburban homeowners solve the worry of being nickel and dimed with surprise change orders by providing firm, itemized written quotes within 24 hours, et cetera, et cetera. So it gives you something, it's giving you all the information, but you could still distill it down. You can say, yes, I like number 4, but make it more simple. Let's try it. But make it more simple. And let's see what it does. All right. And it's simplifying the core message, right? And then it gives me more examples of how to do that. I help homeowners solve the fear of getting scammed with owner-led estimates so they could feel their home is protected without the runaround. All right. That's a lot more.
Not bad.
It's better.
It's better, right? It's going to keep getting better the more that you massage it, right? That's the key. That's the key. We got to keep working it until it hits, right? You should feel like, wow, that's good after you say it to yourself.
Right. And I think that's the big thing is, can you just trust AI to do everything and everything for but we always talk about having a human in the loop approach. So leverage it to help you get through things, through tasks faster. But AI is responsible for tasks. Humans are responsible for trust. So definitely when it comes to your messaging, trust is a core thing that your customers need. So how are you making sure that you are still integrating your vision, your mission, who your company is, the trust aspect of it into that messaging? So it should be a partnership for sure.
I love that.
Yeah. Yep. And one thing I'll show you really quickly, and then we'll go into kind of my wrap up slides, is I wanted to see if this came together. We'll see. But this is a deck that Gemini Notebook created for us in a matter of minutes. But it just talks about the blueprint of trust, talking about trust and strategic positioning and customer psychology at Windy City Roofing. So you can go through this and it literally builds this deck that breaks down what your competitive win themes are, how you think about pain points and positioning. And I think that's something that is really neat, is that it can create this deck for you in a matter of moments. So even the
Wow.
things about what makes our business so great, and you can come in here, you can revise it, you can edit it, you can share it. But it literally did this in a matter of minutes, which is really nice.
Really nice. I mean, back in the day,
Right.
you would be in some I don't know, PowerPoint slides, right, and just trying to figure out how to not only make this resonate but also make it look nice, right? So it's taking the design off your hand as well, which I love. It has to be simple. Sales is really simple, so this is really a great resource.
Simple. And what I love about this slide is this slide literally is from all of our customer discovery calls, and it broken down into our ideal ICP and our anti ICP. Okay. So that's something that's really nice. And it even tells us the sources of, for everything in Gemini Notebook, it tells you the sources of where that came from you. So that's something that's really neat.
Like it.
All right. So kind of the last few things. Can you still see my slide, Seth?
Yes.
So small business owners, they report saving about 13 hours due to AI tools, which is neat. And, the human in the loop approach, we talk about acting responsibly with AI is so important, because you do have to make sure that your team knows what are the guardrails for how you're going to use it in your organization. So we talk a lot about this prompt playbook and the importance of that, but also make sure you have your AI playbook that people know as sales leaders in your organization, how they should and should not be leveraging AI, and what are the best practices for that. And if you want, we have tons of resources. So if you want to do the Google AI professional certificate at no cost for you and the leaders at your team, you can go to grow.google/business and do the Google AI professional certificate. The course takes about 7 to 10 hours, and that's completely free. We always want to upskill and help people think about how they could further their skills. And then we also have this Make AI Work course for you. There's 13 modules that go through all of Google's different tools, which is really exciting. And you could just learn at your own pace how to use them. There's also the Next Wave Fund. So the Next Wave Fund actually supports early stage entrepreneurs and startups and businesses with their ideas. So it's a partnership between Kickstarter and Google for funding. So if you are looking for funding for your business, I always am trying to tell people about the Next Wave Fund, apply and definitely sign up for the newsletter just to keep up to date with the different funding rounds that they have available. And with sales, it does take time. It is a muscle you develop. So think about how you can use AI in your sales process and just try something new every day. That's how you get better. This doesn't come overnight, and that's all right. Things are evolving quickly. But the way that I stay on top of it, and we encourage people as a best practice, is just to take a new tool, give it a try, and continue just to sharpen your skills like that. So thank you. And last but not least, we do offer free small group coaching sessions. These are group coaching sessions with no more than 5 to 10 people, where you can come and ask questions about your business strategy, about Google's tools, et cetera. So definitely, sign up, get this QR code if you like to learn a little bit more. So thank you.
Love that. If you need the slides from today's presentation and the prompt playbook, please reach out to me on LinkedIn at Seth Banks at TrueSeed. I will happily share that link for you all to be able to download that. And yes, open for questions if you have any around the content that we shared today. Jasmine, thank you so much for having me. This has been amazing. And I look forward to hearing great things from you all.
Yes, thank you all so much.